YouTube.
Joel.
He said, are you online?
I had forgotten to start the YouTube, so the YouTube people are sitting there waiting patiently, and I hadn't started yet. Oops. Well, they didn't miss anything. Sorry, what did Bill just ask?
He's just rubbering.
That's fine. What did he say?
Nothing important.
Like the old party lines, eh?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, the old phone party lines. That's right.
Yep.
Everybody's listening in. Yeah, that's right. I never thought of that.
You used to call that rubbering. I don't know why.
Rubber. It was called rubbering, not rubbernecking?
No, rubbering.
Really? Well, that's
I
definitely.
don't know. That's what it was called. I don't know why. But
That must be a Saskatchewanism.
60-some years ago.
Rubbernecking is when you're staring at something, right? When you rubberneck is when you're looking back at seeing an accident or something.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm curious if it's rubbernecking. All right. So for the YouTube folks, you can see it, 2 Corinthians 11. Sorry, I forgot to actually start them. Did you find a big print Bible? Dima couldn't read the little print, the poor old guy. He's the youngest here by far. So next week, I'm going to do a in-person version at 9:30 here in the sanctuary. So if somebody wants to have theirs in person, they can come at 9:30. And then the online version at 1:30. So we can have up to 9 people here. So that's, if you're coming in the morning, you got to let us know.
Okay.
Otherwise we'll kick you out. And then we'll do the online version at 1:30 like normal.
And I suppose you want us to bring treats if we come at 9:30.
Well, you should probably not, actually. You probably should not bring treats because that's sharing stuff with other people. So bring your own coffee.
Well, why couldn't you go to Tim Hortons and pick up donuts?
Listen, don't you dare do that.
Yeah, but did you see, Marie, did you see it?
Hey. Shh, you guys.
I did.
You guys. Remember, go with what I say, not what I do. That's right. Famous words by preachers. Do as I say, not as I do.
Can you still get cinnamon buns at the Dutch bakery?
I don't know. I would imagine they're closed. I haven't tried.
I would think so.
One of the sad things about this is big corporations like Walmart and Amazon and Costco are doing great business, and all the local people are not even able to be open. So it's kind of unfair to the local yokels.
Amazon isn't getting anything from us because our one credit card got used by somebody else. So the Visa said it's.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good. They trapped it.
Fraudulent, so nobody can use it. And I can't even get my filters for my air purifier.
I mean, and you see Bill, I bet you Bill's got a great big smile on his face. He can't use the Visa card.
She's too tight. I can't even get her to use it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Now what's going on? Let's see here. Oh, it's my YouTube says live in 3 hours. What in the world? Penny's texting me. I'll send her a link. Hang on. Hang on. Oh yeah, it does say live in 3 hours. Let me fix that. How do I fix that? How do I fix that? Here I'm asking you how to fix it.
You're asking the wrong person here.
Well, it should be live now. Let me just see what happens if I actually start it. Well, it is there. No, it does not there. Okay. Okay, so let me just do this. Poor people on YouTube are not being able to watch. Dima's going to start singing for us while we're waiting here. Well, I'm going to just restart that one then because it's not working. I wonder why I did that. That's not right. I think maybe Penny's looking at the Facebook one. Are you looking at Facebook or YouTube? Question mark. There we go. Yeah, it is working, he says. All right. All right, let's get to it. Anybody have something to share first? Dima, how's things going for you?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
How's Lena?
Lina's at work, so she's pretty well.
Can you hear him speaking back there?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And
All right.
I miss you.
And the
Everyone.
aw,
Yeah.
Dima misses everybody. How about you, Trudy? What's new? Isn't it, aren't we up, how close are we to the 1 year anniversary of your grandson passing away?
1st of June.
1 month. Okay.
June the 1st.
No, another month yet. Yeah, that sure.
There was some beautiful pictures put on by the Saskatoon football thing. Was for the Kids for Tots. It's from 3 to ages 6 where they teach. And there were some beautiful pictures. And because I can't print them because I updated my phone and my phone won't answer to my printer, I have to phone Penny and ask Penny to print the picture for me.
Well, we're glad to help. There you go.
I know she's a great help. A lovely secretary.
And Marie, what's new for you?
Same old, and I like it like that.
Okay. Very good.
We're not having stay away 6 feet away this weekend at the farm.
What does that mean?
We have to brand calves.
Oh,
And you can't stay 6 feet away to brand calves.
well, they do have the stipulations now that if you have a family that you are going to be visiting, you can only visit that one other family, with the stipulation that they're also only visiting you, right?
Right.
So that's interesting. I forget how it was funny how they put it. They put you have to have a mutual agreement. I was like, so I have to get the people I want to hang out with to agree to hang out with me only. So
we got Audra and Cassie and Norm and Susan, and Elizabeth will stay in the house and help Grandma cook.
Oh.
Or Big Trudy, as she calls me.
Big what?
Big Trudy.
That's your name from her.
That's what she calls me. I'm Big Trudy.
Big Trudy. Maybe I can get my grandkids to call me that. Let me think. Well, I guess that's a great grandkid for you.
Yeah, well, she couldn't say great grandma.
Oh.
I'm really grandma, so.
So what is Bill Big Bill then, or?
No, he's Big Papa.
Oh, Big Papa. Okay. All righty. All right. Well, Marie's already finished the Bible study. Look at her go. Okay, so let's get to 2 Corinthians chapter 11, and this sounds like a message I should give to people. I hope you will put up with me in a little foolishness. Yes, please put up with me. I am jealous for you with a godly jealousy. I promised you to one husband, to Christ, so that I might present you as a pure virgin to him. But I am afraid that just as Eve was deceived by the serpent's cunning, your mind may somehow be led astray from your sincere and pure devotion to Christ. For if someone comes to you and preaches a Jesus other than the Jesus we preached, or if you receive a different spirit from the spirit you received, or a different gospel from the one you accepted, you put up with it easily enough. I do not think I am in the least inferior to those super apostles. I may be untrained as a speaker, but I do have knowledge. We have made this perfectly clear to you in every way. Was it a sin for me to lower myself in order to elevate you by preaching the gospel of God to you free of charge? I robbed other churches by receiving support from them so as to serve you. And when I was with you, you needed something. When I was with you and needed something, I was not a burden to anyone. For brothers who came from Macedonia supplied what I need. I have kept myself from being a burden to you in any way and will continue to do so. As surely as the truth of Christ is in me, nobody in the regions of Achaia will stop this boasting of mine. Why? Because I do not love you. Because I do not love you. Oh, sorry. God knows I do. Another one of those, what do you call a question that you ask that you know the answer is no? Rhetorical question?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll stop there. Let's go back to the top. And ever heard of godly jealousy before? Remember, in fact, the Bible even says God is a jealous God. How come God can be jealous? Obviously, because he's not sinful. So how does that work? How can jealousy be something that's not sinful? You can answer, Dima, by the way, anytime.
Would that refer to if we were worshiping idols?
Well, yes, because he didn't want them worshiping idols. And so he said, do not worship idols because your God is a jealous God. But how is that appropriate? How is jealousy not a sin? It is listed, by the way, in other places in the Bible as a sin. Jealousy, fits of rage, all that, remember? From Galatians chapter 5.
How about Paul cannot bear the thought that there might be a rival to Christ and his gospel?
Right. Okay, but I just want to stick on that verse 2 for a second. How is it that he is allowed to be jealous and it's not sinful?
He is betrothed to us.
Okay, and what does that mean?
Well, we are his bride.
Okay, so if we're his bride, how come then jealousy is okay? You're actually onto something, by the way.
Yeah, but I don't exactly know what. Well, isn't it okay for a husband to be jealous of his wife?
Okay, so why is that? Dima, you want to jump in here? Dima's chickening out too. I agree. It is okay, but why?
Because you think more of Christ than you do of your husband?
Well, that could be, but
I'll tell you, it's awful close after.
okay, so Dima just says, what is jealous? What does that mean? So what does the word jealousy mean? Let's define it.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody give me a definition of jealous. Should I look it up on the internets? Let's see what Merriam-Webster says. Merriam-Webster says, a jealous disposition. No, thank you for using the root word in the definition. Okay, let's go to the root word jealous. Now, it says hostile towards a rival or one believed to enjoy an advantage. Or another definition is intolerant of rivalry or unfaithfulness or disposed to suspect rivalry. And the third one is vigilant in guarding a possession. Does that help?
Yep.
Okay, so then how is it appropriate?
Well, the last one you said was vigilant guarding a possession.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if we're God's possessions, but we are God's children, or we are the bride. So I don't know.
Well, you're always on the right track. Dima, what do you think? Still nothing from Dima. All right. So here's the thing. If somebody at my flex outside, if Dima steals my keys and then steals my car, am I allowed to be jealous of the fact that he's now driving my car?
You're not jealous, you're very upset.
Well, I'd be upset too, but I would be like, that's not fair. It's my car and he's driving my car without my permission, right?
Oh, okay.
All right. Now, the reason that it's appropriate for me to be jealous in that particular situation is because, as Marie said, I possess that. I own that vehicle. And in fact, actually, it's beautiful because the bank doesn't even own it anymore. I own that car. and so if you, in fact, are the rightful owner of something, you then are not sinning if you are jealous if someone else is taking it or using it. So that now go back to the husband and wife situation. When we get married, we exchange our vows, and our vows basically say, I dedicate myself to you for a lifetime, right?
Okay.
So then a husband and a wife are both jealous of that relationship. They can protect it and guard it, and then also feel that it's inappropriate for that relationship to be shared with someone else. Okay? Now, jealousy, where you begin to be paranoid and begin to not trust, is a little bit of a different ball of wax. Okay? So with jealousy, you've got the idea that you either A, are being paranoid about something that you do possess, or B, which is way more common, is you are jealous of those who have the things that you want. It's related to coveting at that point. So here Paul reminds the church that I am jealous for you with a godly jealousy because I promised you to one husband, to Christ. So in the biblical picture of things, we are all the bride of Christ, correct? Right? We're all the bride.
Mm-hmm.
We're all the woman in the story.
Mm-hmm.
And we dedicate ourselves wholly and only to Jesus. And Jesus, of course, dedicates himself to us. But he says, I am afraid that just like Eve, who was deceived by the serpent's cunning, your minds may somehow be led astray from your sincere and pure devotion to Christ. And the reason he was saying that, again, was because people were coming in and teaching things about Jesus that weren't true. And they were taking their heart away from their true relationship with Jesus. So he says, if somebody's come in and preached something that's not Jesus, if somebody come in and preached something that's not from the Spirit, and if somebody's coming in and preaching something that's not the gospel, he says, that is not appropriate. So godly jealousy, in this case for Paul, is a jealousy that is guarding something that he values. And for our relationship with God, it's guarded because of a good jealousy. You need to have this idea of we are one, we are possessions of each other in the case of marriage. Therefore, it is not something that is to be shared with outside parties. In this case, outside parties were false teachers, false preachers, and they were twisting the gospel. So, jealousy is appropriate when there is an official and agreed upon ownership. In a marriage, it's a mutual ownership. We both agree to own each other, in a sense. But with our relationship with God, it is a relationship where he has dedicated his life to us, and then we dedicate our lives back to him. And therefore, Paul is appropriate in saying that my jealousy is godly and therefore not sinful. Now, we all know how jealousy can get out of hand and how it can be a problem. But when it comes to our relationship, our close relationships, so marriage and our close relationship with Jesus, those are to be guarded because they are mutually agreed upon, intimate and exclusive relationships. And so you mentioned, Trudy or Marie, you mentioned idols, right? That was the idea, is that they were sharing their faith, they were sharing their religion with idols instead of just God. And that's why he says in the Ten Commandments, no, none of that. It's not appropriate in our intimate relationship. All right, that was a lot on one word. Okay?
Okay.
So is that clear on jealousy? You guys knew what it meant. You just couldn't put it into words. Maybe I didn't put it into words either. Any questions? All right. Now, getting back to Paul, we've talked week after week that he's been chewing out this church for the things that they've been doing inappropriately, the ways that they have been not being pure in their relationship with God, not being right in how they deal with church services and everything like that. And then lately he's been accused of being mean when he's writing, but when he shows up in person, he's Mr. Softy, nice guy. And so the previous chapter, he was talking about, hey, don't think for a minute that the things I write to you now, which are kind of harsh, aren't going to be on my lips when I'm there in person. And his critics were saying, oh, sure, he's Mr. Tough Guy when he's writing, but when he shows up in person, he's Mr. Softy Soft. So he says, verse 5, I do not think I am in the least inferior to those super apostles. I may indeed be untrained as a speaker, but I do have knowledge. Now, who are the super apostles? Anybody want to take a shot at that?
The false apostles, one's not preaching the word.
Yeah, very well could be the guys who came in and said, oh, no. We know the secret here. We know the truth about what the gospel is, and you guys have been getting only a part of it. So let me give you the rest of it. Though they could have been that way. And they also could have been very good speakers, by the way. Perhaps even trained orators, which was quite a common thing back in the day. He also could be alluding to the other apostles that were common and people knew them. So Peter and Barnabas and Paulus and all the ones that were listed in 1 Corinthians. But anyways, my guess is that it's mostly for the false prophets. We have made this perfectly clear to you in every way. Was it a sin for me to lower myself in order to elevate you by preaching the gospel of God to you free of charge? Okay. So what's he saying there? What was it? I lowered myself in order to elevate you by preaching the gospel for free. What does that mean? It sounds kind of weird.
Another scandalous criticism made by Paul's adversaries was that his refusal to accept payment for his instructions proved that it was worth nothing. This action at the same time helped to cloak their own grasping character, since their method of operation, like that of the first century traveling officers and religious teachers, was to demand payment for their professional services. Paul, his enemies said, was lowering himself and committing a sin by breaking the rule that a teacher should receive payment in proportion to the worth of his performance.
Uh-huh. Ever heard of the old phrase, you get what you pay for?
Mm-hmm.
You get what you pay for?
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if something is free, it's worthless. So there was and Trudy's notes are correct, there was this mindset that if you got someone to come in and teach you, you paid them because they were their information, their instruction was worth being paid for. But Paul shows up here and didn't ask for a fee, or didn't ask to be paid. Now he does, if you remember way back in 1 Corinthians, way back in last fall when we started 1 Corinthians, Paul was talking about the fact that it's good and okay to pay for people who are doing ministry and all that stuff, which is great. But he also mentioned, and this was his way of making sure he didn't get criticized, he also mentioned that he came and did not request any money from the Corinthians, did not request payment, did not request offerings, for two reasons. One, because they were poor. Two, because then if he did get paid, then the same critics who are criticizing him now for doing it for free would have come in and said, you only did it for the money. So it's kind of like this virus nowadays. No matter what the politicians do, they're doing it wrong, right? And it doesn't matter what you do. And so Paul was in that exact same spot. So he says, no. This is, I did this because I wanted to make sure that no one could could critique me of only coming in to take money, which, by the way, was pretty common for the false teachers to do just that. So he says, listen, I did not come, I lowered myself. In other words, I lowered my expectations. I lowered my fee to 0 so that I could elevate you by showing you the gospel of Jesus Christ. And then he goes even on to say something a little bit more harsh. He goes, I robbed other churches by receiving support from them so as to serve you. Now, he robbed other churches? That doesn't sound very good. What does that mean?
Accepting freely given support
Oh, you're
from
reading
established congregations.
you're going to my note. You're going to your notes so quick, Trudy. I'm not here to point at you and say stop that.
Okay.
Okay, did he actually rob the other churches? Yes or no?
No.
No, of course not. So what's the word? He's using an exaggeration here to make a point. He didn't rob other churches, but he utilized the funds that they had given him to do ministry in Corinth. Right? So,
Well, he had to eat and sleep somewhere.
well, true, exactly. And so, but he was then supported by other churches to share the gospel somewhere else, which of course is what missions is all about, by the way. We do the same thing all the time. But so he didn't actually rob other churches. That's clearly a exaggeration to make a point.
What does King James say in the
You want to know
original?
what King James says? All right, let's look up King James.
Yes.
Good old King James. He's going to come up on Sunday because we're going to find a glaring error on Sunday during our sermon. What verse is that? Number 8. I robbed other churches, taking wages of them to do you service. There you go.
The word rob is in there too?
Yeah, it's robbed, yeah. Now, a better question is, what does the message say? Because he'll put it into normal English. He'll say, let's see what he says. Verse. It's hard to find his verse numbers because he doesn't use verse numbers. It turns out that other churches paid my way so that you could have a free ride. There you go. That's good. That's good. But yeah, I mean, he's clearly using an exaggeration to make a point. So I'm going to make this a bit wider, which means I have to make this a bit skinnier. Hang on a second. There we go. We'll be stacked up nicely now. All right. All right, verse. So that's just an exaggeration, but he wants again to make the point that, I mean, it must have been big money back in those days to be a traveling preacher. Maybe even a traveling philosopher, maybe even like a traveling orator. It must have been pretty decent money. I can't imagine how, but apparently that was the case. Verse 9. And when I was with you and needed something, I was not a burden to anyone. So he just continues on to say, hey, now I showed up there not to get anything out of you, but rather to give you the gospel. End of story. And anybody who's criticizing me for that, it's not because my message was worthless. It's because you guys were worth it. So he's really kind of honoring them at the same time. Verse 9. I was not a burden to anyone, for the brothers who came from Macedonia supplied what I needed. I have kept myself from being a burden to you in any way and will continue to do so. As surely as the truth of Christ is in me, nobody in our regions of Achaia will stop this boasting of mine. Why? Because I do not love you? God knows I do. All right, so he wraps up this little section again as he's defending himself. He wraps up this little section again, reminding them that, hey, you guys, I value you, I love you, and I love the church that you guys are, even with its warts and all. And I'm so happy that I was able to come and minister to you and that other churches were able to support me in this. That is awesome how that worked out. And why are we doing all this? It's because we love you. And so he uses the rhetorical question. Why? Because I do not love you? No, God knows I do. Good. And let's see. Do we have time to do this? We have 4 minutes. Here we go. I will keep on doing what I'm doing in order to cut the ground from under those who want an opportunity to be considered equal with us in the things that they boast about. For such people are false apostles, deceitful workers masquerading as apostles of Christ, and no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. It is not surprising then his servants also masquerade as servants of righteousness. Their end will be what their actions deserve. There you go. It says those bad guys who are coming in and preaching that false message, they are going to get what they deserve because they are preaching a gospel that is not the gospel of Jesus Christ. And he says, don't be surprised that these guys look good, because that's how Satan works. Temptation looks good until you fall into it. So don't be surprised then these guys are looking good, but as you begin to look at their message, if it's not the Jesus that I preached, if it's not the Holy Spirit that was given to you, and if it's not the gospel, you need to reject them out of hand. And their criticisms of us are fake as they try to manipulate you. Oh, so that sounds like sometimes preachers that we may run into in our lives or on TV. All right, Dima, give us a question,
when
Dima.
you make something like this, I think of Billy Graham all the time.
Well, Billy Graham for good reasons, I trust. He was a pretty decent guy. He only took he took a salary from his organization, and that was it. He made millions and millions and millions on his books, but all that money got put back into his organization. That was his way of being financially accountable. Paul's way of being financially accountable here was not to take any money at all from these guys, but early on to say, if you are in the church and you're paying your ministers, that is good, because a workman is worthy of his hire. That's from 1 Corinthians. Okay, Dima.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dima.
I don't have any question.
He doesn't have anything. Go ahead, Trudy.
Who was the one on TV that was scamming all the money, and his wife was doing cosmetics or something like that? Which ones were those?
I know exactly what you're talking about, but there are many. Well, there are many. You know. All right. So our 40 minutes is already up. That's amazing. It's fun hanging out with you guys.
Where are the rest of the girls today?
I don't know. You can get after
Not
them.
that I don't.
Well, Arnold and Alice are on their way to, or are in Medicine Hat. Arnold is getting an injection today.
That's right, too. So you'll have to pray on your own today. So pray for that. Sammy's on his way to Edmonton. I haven't heard out why yet. I know he needed to get there for other reasons. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Gert is doing better. We're not sure if she's home yet. We haven't found that out, but you can pray for Gert as you do your prayer time today. And I haven't heard anything negative from Jane, so hopefully she's still doing good. And I think that's about it. Anybody else have any prayer requests to share with the group?
I would like to pray for a girl out here. Jamie got the mosquito disease, Lyme disease, and she's in Mexico having her blood boiled and put back into her to get the disease out of her body.
Chelation.
And they're just about finished the treatment.
All right, what's her name, Jamie?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Call her.
put her on your list too as you pray today, guys. All right, we got to wrap it up. All right, that's it. We're done. Last week we prayed and got cut off. We'll just finish it and then you pray on your own. Deal?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right, God bless you guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay,
God
bye-bye.
bless you too. Bye.